Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our June 28th, 2021 City Council meeting. If you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Stacy, if I could ask you to please call the roll.
Councilman Gary Donovan,
Councilman Gary Donovan, Councilman at Large, present.
Councilwoman Colleen O'Connor,
Councilwoman Colleen O'Connor, Council at Large here.
Councilwoman Bridget Hosky,
Councilwoman Bridget Hosky, First District, present.
Councilman William X. Conlon is absent. Councilwoman Elizabeth Johnston,
Councilwoman Liz Johnston, Third District, present.
Councilman Mitch Galagnano,
Councilman Mitch Galagnano, 4th District, present.
Councilwoman Robin Hamilton,
Councilwoman Robin Hamilton, 5th District, present.
Councilman Peter Massaro,
Councilman Peter Massaro, 6th District, present.
Councilwoman Trinae McGee,
Councilwoman Trinae McGee, 7th District, present.
Councilwoman Crystal Finelli,
Councilwoman Crystal Finelli, 8th District, present.
Councilman Robert Bruno,
Councilman Robert Bruno, 9th District, present.
Councilman Barry Lee Cohen,
Councilman Barry Lee Cohen, 10th District, present.
and Chairman Ronald Quagliani.
Council at Large Ron Quagliani, present. Okay, thank you, Stacy. First order of the agenda is 6:50 p.m. City Council public hearing for our Public Lands Committee. I'll turn this over to the Public Lands Chair, Councilman Donovan.
Thank you, Chairman. The time is 6:55. The public hearing for City Council public hearing for the regarding the sale of 70 lease or transfer of 70 Hall Street. Do we have any communication, Stacy?
No, Chairman, we don't have any communications on that public hearing this evening.
Okay, with that, public hearing is closed at 6:56.
Thank you, Councilman Donovan. We will, let's see if we have, it's 6:56. So we can now move on to the public hearing for the Finance Committee in regards to the CDA program year 47 budget. I'll turn it over to the Finance Chair, Councilwoman Hosky.
Thank you, Chairman. The time is now 6:56. The hearing is regarding the approval of West Haven Community Development Program Year 47 budget. The committee members present are Councilman Cohen, Councilman Massaro, Councilman Bruno, and Councilwoman Hamilton, and myself acting as chair. We do not have any public comments, so the hearing is closed at 6:57.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hosky. We will now stand in recess until 7 o'clock. Okay, we'll come out of recess. It's now 7 PM. Next up on the agenda is public comment. Stacy, is there any public comment for our meeting this evening?
Mr. Chairman, we do not have any public comment this evening.
Thank you, Stacy. Then we will recess until 7:05. Okay, it's 7:05 PM. The council is out of recess. And we'll commence our regular council meeting. Communication L from the June 14th, 2021 agenda has been withdrawn. Communication I from the 6/14/21 agenda, which also appears on this agenda, is number 70 Hall Street, 70 Hall Street. The public notice was accurate in the newspaper. Before we start, just a point of information, today through Thursday, the city has cooling centers available for those that should need it. They're available at both the main library and the Ora Mason Library, and a full listing of the hours are available on the City of West Haven website. Our first order of business is the approval of the minutes of the June 14th, 2021 agenda. Is there a motion to approve? Councilman Bruno, seconded by Councilwoman O'Connor and Hamilton. Are there any discussion on those minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? Is there anyone opposed? Are there any abstentions? And those minutes pass unanimously. Next order of business is the approval of the minutes of the May 24th, 2021 meeting. Motion to approve. Councilman Donovan, seconded by Councilman Cohen and Councilwoman Hosky. Are there any discussion on those minutes? Councilman Donovan.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, on page 2, communication B, it says Mayor Nancy Rossi appointed Eleanor, it should be Eleanor, E-L-I-N-O-R, and her last name is Slomba, S-L-O-M-B-A. Just for the records.
And what page is that on, Councilman Donovan?
Page 2, communication B.
Yeah, got it. Okay, we'll have the clerk correct the name. Councilman Cohen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To follow up on Councilman Donegan, the same mistake or the same error correction on pages 7, last paragraph on the bottom, on page 7, and the very first line on page 8, if we could also make those corrections there as well.
So noted. Thank you, Councilman Cohen. Is there any other discussion on these minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? And these minutes as corrected pass unanimously. Stacy, if I could ask you to read tonight's communications into the record.
We have before us communication A from Mayor Nancy R. Rossi in regards to the City of West Haven's 5-year financial plan being assigned to the Finance Committee, Chairwoman Hosky. We have before us communication B from Doug Coulter in regards to merging 28 Collis Street and 22 Collis Street being assigned to the Public Lands Committee, Chairman Donovan. We have before us communication C from the tax collector in regards to overpayment refunds for the month of June 2021, which will be followed with tonight's minutes. We have before us communication D from Commissioner McCarthy in regards to interdepartmental transfer of funds being assigned to the Finance Committee, Chairwoman Hosky. We have before us communication E from Chief of Police Joseph Perno in regards to animal shelter donations being assigned to the Finance Committee, Chairwoman Hosky. We have before us communication F from Doug Coulter in regards to the submission of a Homeland Security grant application being assigned to Health, Welfare, and Safety Committee, Chairman Bruno. We have before us communication G from Doug Coulter in regards to the submission of a Homeland Security grant application, also being assigned to the Health, Welfare, and Safety Committee, Chairman Bruno. And lastly, we have before us communication H from Chief Joseph Perno in regards to a contract with Axon for police body cameras and equipment, being assigned to the Finance Committee Chairwoman Hosky. And that is all the communications we have this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Stacy. We will now recess into committee meetings. The first committee is the Finance Committee, Councilwoman Hosky.
Thank you, Chairman Quagliani. The time is now 7:10 and your Committee on Finance is in session. Committee members present are Councilwoman Hamilton, Councilman Massaro, Councilman Cohen, and Councilman Bruno, and myself acting as chair. We have before us Communication A from Mayor Nancy R. Rossi in regards to the City of West Haven's 5-year financial plan. I'd like to bring this out favorably. Can I have a motion? Thank you, Councilman Massaro. Can I have a second? Thank you, Councilwoman Hamilton and Bruno. Is there any discussion? Mayor Rossi, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, I would. Thank you very much, Chairwoman Hosky. I know Frank is on the call as well. I think this is a very good plan. I think it's a well thought out plan. I think it's a conservative plan with the revenues, with respect to the revenues. And again, as everyone knows, it is just a plan. And what I mean by that is we would try to follow it, but if things change, in the next few years or however anything happens, we are able to amend this plan. I do want to make everyone aware that it's already gone through the MARP process, and I don't think they were unanimous. I think somebody abstained, but other than that, it did pass. And so I want to make everybody aware of that MARB is in favor of this plan. I don't know if Frank wants to add anything, Councilwoman.
Okay. Frank, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. The only thing I would add is, as the mayor stated, this is a guide. It's not cast in stone. By definition, any financial plan is at a point in time. So for example, this plan does not include the additional pilot funds that are coming to the city. So that is a considerable upside that we will factor in as we move forward. So, I'm willing to answer any questions, but I think the plan itself is sound. I think we have strived to maintain the mill rate as close as possible with minimal increases, but get the city to a healthy fund balance. So going forward, we could weather whatever storms come our way. Thank you.
So Frank, could you just elaborate a little bit more on, you're saying that the additional pilot money is not included. I know that you probably don't know, or maybe you do, but I do know, and this is about the fire departments. I know the Center District budget does not include any pilot money. They did not include it at all, which is fabulous, which is just absolutely outstanding that the chief and his commissioners were able to do that. Do you, in Allentown, I believe is the same as is the Shore. Can you speak on that for the record?
Yes. None of the departments, as far as I know, included any of the additional pilot funds. We did not receive communication as to what those monies would be until well after these plans and budgets were developed.
And historically, that's not the case, right? Historically, we've always tried to include that or use that in, so that is really, in my opinion, a huge plus.
It is.
Mayor Rossi, did you go ahead?
Yes, and the reason we didn't is because we didn't know how much additional. This is a new program this year, and it's tiered, and so we did get more money. But the thing is also, I think on the upside, what we did to balance the budget, as everyone knows, and properly balance the budget, we included ARPA funds of 1.575. And so the additional pilot money, I'm hoping, is going to be used, because this way then we don't have to use that funding and put it in the budget and next year we will have the tiered pilot again, because my understanding is it will continue. And so as anything else, I mean, you never know what's going to happen next year. They might cut it, but they do pass a 2-year budget. They do, we'll revisit it next year. But that being said, I'm hopeful that we have enough to take care of that ARPA money, so we can use the ARPA money in other places as opposed to COVID expenditures in the budget.
So it's my understanding, and you might not, okay, I don't have to ask, but I won't ask. I'll hold it. Does anyone else have any additional questions in regards to Councilman Cohen? Are you raising your hand? You're putting, okay, go ahead.
I didn't want to interrupt. So yeah, actually, I had just information, and really just approximate, is I did have communications with Representative Boer, who, as most of you know, is a member of the House Finance Committee. And to what the mayor had stated, the new pilot program is going to be, new pilot program formula, I should say, will be highly beneficial to West Haven. In terms of Allentown, which some of you know, I mean, it's going to be an approximate $800,000 increase, because we were getting about $950,000 per year. And for the next 2 years, they're forecasting about 1.7 million. How's that to be used is another story. In terms of my West Shore Fire District, the pilot funds are going to increase about $400,000 per year to approximately $740,000 per year. And as you noted, Madam Chair, the Center District is going to get about, according to State Representative Boer, about 2.5 million for each of the next 2 years, compared to about $800,000 now. And that's only the huger increase, is my understanding, is because the VA hospital is exempt from this pilot formula, and they use a different calculation. So again, these are all approximate figures, but it's all good news for West Haven, and we can sure use the money. So I just wanted to share that with you and the rest of the council. Thank you.
I just want to clarify what you just said, or maybe I misunderstood, but when you're saying that the VA hospital is exempt from this funding, I believe that because of the VA hospital, we're getting additional funding.
Right.
Because we're getting additional funding because they've now come to realize, because of the accident that happened up there, that they should be, our first responders are responding to the VA hospital, which is now ensuring that the Center District is getting their just deserves. So so we're getting additional monies.
Yeah, what I was basically saying is the formula that they used, that they normally
use. In past tense.
In other words, no, it's a different formula that they use for the VA hospital, because it's a different category of pilot. This is how it was explained to me from Representative Boer. So to your point is, it's not the same calculation, it's a higher calculation because of some of the stuff you said, et cetera. So it's good that it's exempt from the new formula, because it's even a better formula based on how they categorize the VA. So yes, it's good news regardless. Thank you.
Chairman Quagliani.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hosky. I just want to comment, for the record, as Frank had said, the plan is very, very conservative, right? As far as revenues that are anticipated for the city, as far as the tax rate, as far as the grand list. So, and I appreciate the level of detail, Frank, that you put into the plan. Specifically, even the piece about the havens, where we may see a lowering of monies due to the continued demolition of all the properties, right? Taking those properties off the tax rolls. So that particular year, it shows that in the plan. And then in subsequent years, it shows the increase due to the construction of the actual mall. So again, I want to thank you for the level of detail that you put it in the plan. I recognize it's just a guide, but it's a really good guide. Thank you, Councilwoman Hosky.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments regarding the 5-year plan? Councilman Cohen?
This is also for Frank, and Frank, I couldn't find it specifically in the plan, but I was looking at our budget, and I'm sure it's on one of those line items, but I think that, as you're aware, Frank, in next year's 2021-2022 fiscal budget year, we approved $2 million for street paving that is being funded under the grants and other sources, as stated in our budget plan. I remember during the budget deliberations, when I inquired about the $2 million, we were informed that this amount was coming from Governor Lamont's Distressed City Fund, which at the time West Haven was projected to receive about 4.9 million in grants and funding. Now, even though the state budget wasn't approved, and to your point, this is a guide, Marb had instructed us it was okay to include the $2 million figure in our budget. Now, as you know, Frank, the proposed Distressed City Fund never materialized. And instead, another program, the State Equity Fund, will be established on January 1st of 22. Under this new program, the distressed municipalities such as West Haven will be asked to describe and justify the need for funds that would improve economic development. So with that background, here's my question. Is the $2 million we budgeted for paving assumed to be covered or recovered in 2022 via the Equity Fund? Or perhaps might be, based on Senator Murphy's subsequent notifications, will we be covering that $2 million in road paving using the America Rescue Plan Fund? I just want, because obviously things changed. We all thought that the Distressed City was going to go through, and then obviously they came up with the Equity Fund. Can you comment on that now?
Yeah, the additional funding, including the paving, et cetera, is nowhere in this plan. This is the general fund, it's Allentown, and it's sewer. So any additional fundings, including ARPA funding, the additional state funding, that's all being set up through a new fund to track. Once projects are identified, those monies will be transferred from that fund to the appropriate projects.
Yeah, but my point of it is at the time that we allocated the $2 million, at that time, we thought it was coming out of the Distressed City Fund because we were not to touch the America Rescue Plan Fund at that time that we did the budgets. So now since there is no Distressed City Fund, that $2 million in that budget will come from somewhere else, I imagine.
If it's allowable, it would come from either the federal money or the state monies that are coming in, but strict guidelines have not been provided yet.
Okay, no, because at the time, like you said, it's the guide, it's a plan. We basically, we thought that program was going to happen, and state legislature decided on something else. So that'll have to be addressed at a future council meeting, I assume.
Now, everything I've been reading is that infrastructure projects within certain parameters will be included as being able to use these funds.
Right.
So as we get more guidance, we will go through and identify what the monies can be used for, and then whether it's a committee, a group of people, whatever, should identify what those projects should be prioritized as.
Right, and the point being is that there is not that fund, so we're going to take it from we'll take it from the other fund, if you will, or whatever else is established. Okay, I was just trying to get clarity. That's all.
Mayor Rossi, would you like to make a comment on this? Because there just seems to be, so we could just have clarity. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. In fact, I just contacted Michael DeMassa because I too have been in touch with people watching our money. And he's saying that we're still getting the 5.3. And I asked him if he will sign on to the meeting, and he said yes. So I'm hoping he signs on any minute to clarify this, because I do understand it was distressed municipalities and maybe they're calling it something else. But my understanding is we will have enough money, not only for the 2 million, but additional as well. So I don't know if Michael jumps on by phone, or I don't know if all those phone numbers are taken, but he said he will get on the meeting.
Right, that's my understanding as well of what's going on, that they didn't do one, but they're creating another. So if you're saying that he is going to jump on, we'll hold on to that and wait for his clarification. Did you have something you wanted to add, Chairman Quagliani?
Yeah, the only point I want to add is it's my understanding that any of this unbudgeted money is going to have to come to us anyway for approval if we're going to put it towards projects or whatnot. But I think one thing's clear: wherever the money comes from, it's not coming from the city of West Haven taxpayer pockets. It's the mill rate is not going to go up. We have our budget in place. The budget's the budget. It includes the street paving, and whether it comes from whatever acronym you want to use on the federal or state funds, that's where it's coming from. It's not coming out of the West Haven taxpayer pocket.
Thank you. We just had a number added.
I don't know. I see me again. I don't know.
I
if-
see you again. That might be State Rep DeMassa. I'm not sure. Do we have any additional questions?
Sure.
Oh,
There he is.
hi, Michael DeMassa. Could you give us some clarity in regards to the distressed funding being null and void and where the monies will be coming from? Mayor Rossi said you'd be joining us to give us some clarity.
Absolutely. So as Frank can confirm, because I see him on the call, I think there's some confusion. So we did some budget maneuvering with the state budget this year. The reason you may think that was not coming through is because you're not going to see it on the runs the state put out for July 1st because they deposited the money in our account a week ago. So that money was paid out in advance. So Frank, you confirm, I think Frank, 5.3 trickle, there's other numbers in there, but 5.3 million was deposited last week, Frank, I want to say.
That's correct.
Yeah. And then obviously the city also received 9 million, but that's a separate federal deal. But
Those are federal.
5.3, right, 5.3 consists of 2.5 million for COVID, and then a little more than 2.5 million, obviously, for the distressed municipality piece. You don't see it on the state runs again because they dispersed it to us now. So July 1st, that budget going forward, they don't have it in there because they're not dispersing it their next fiscal year. That's a new fiscal year. But they did give it to us and we got it.
So I think the concern is that we have $2 million we said was going to be set aside for paving. And now we were going to try to have to find that money from somewhere. We didn't have the money.
Money's here.
But the money, go ahead, I'm sorry.
The money's here.
The money's here. So we do have the money for the $2 million to do street paving.
Yes.
Correct. $5.3 million was deposited on June 22nd. That's when it came.
Okay, and then $2 million of that will go at some point towards street paving.
That is the
We're not.
anticipation.
So I just don't want it to get out there and have the city all of a sudden up in arms over the fact that we said we were going to do $2 million worth of paving and now we're not. So Mike DeMassa, Frank Chaplinsky, and Mayor Rossi is on the record to say that the city at some point will be doing an additional. Okay. Councilman Cohen, I just want to make sure nobody else has any questions. Does anyone else have any questions? I'll open it up to the entire council just since Rep. DeMassa is on the phone now as well. Going once. Okay, Councilman Cohen, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm very happy to know that $5.3 million have been deposited. When I spoke and I emailed, and I also spoke to Representative Bohr, she was the one who brought out to me that the distressed city fund was not, it's called a state equity fund, as she described it to me. And under the new program that started January 1st, distressed municipalities like West Haven will be asked to describe and justify the need for funds that would improve economic development. Now, maybe that's moving forward, but again, just so that we're all transparent, I'm just happy to know that we did get $5.3 million because initially it was 4.9, then it went up to 5.3 because I had a little bit bump at the end, which is correct. And again, it was one of those things that she said that didn't pass. So I just want to make sure that, thank God we have the money. And if we didn't, like Frank said in the beginning, this is a guide, but happy to know it. But at the same time, it's like anything else. Even though the state budget wasn't approved yet, we put it in there because Marb said that we could put it in there. So there you go. So I'm very happy to know that they actually gave us the money. So.
And Councilman, you're not entirely wrong. What happened was, there's a little feedback there. When the governor put his proposal out for his budget, $50 million he set aside from CARES Act money the state already received, and he asked the legislature to bond $50 million for a total of $100 million to do distressed municipality program. The legislature decided to do equity for $50 million instead. So then the governor issued the $50 million he had from COVID to the towns, which is where we got our 5.3. But you're right. If the legislature was going to bond to go to 100 million, they would have done all this money next fiscal year. But because they said we don't want to do that, they took the 50 million, they dispersed it now. And that's probably where the confusion's coming from.
Mystery solved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Not a problem.
Any other additional questions? Perfect. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you, Rep. Damasa. You're appreciated. So I have before us Communication D from Commissioner McCarthy in regards to an interdepartmental transfer of funds. I'd like to bring this out favorably. Thank you, Councilwoman Hamilton. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councilman Cohen and Bruno. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. I have Communication E from Chief of Police Joseph Perno in regards to animal shelter donations. I'd like to bring this out favorably. Thank you, Councilman Bruno. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councilman Cohen. Is there any discussion? Councilman Cohen?
Yes, just for the record, there's listed number 13, my name with check number for $90. I just wanted to point out to people, they were cash donations that were given during the animal shelter drive. We had it offshore about a month ago. And so that's from several people because the animal shelter drive brought in like about $2,320, and that was part of that. So that is a donation of cash collections that were done during the drive. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Stacy, does the communication need to be updated? Or when I read it into the record, I don't know. Is he, so
I would think because the people are probably not named, right? So probably I think it could just stay the way it is.
okay, I just wanted to be sure, that's all.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm sorry, guys. I have Communication H from Chief Joseph Perno in regards to a contract with Axon for police body cameras. Did I miss something?
We need an all in
I
favor.
didn't do it both. I'm so sorry. Oh, shoot. All those in favor for the communication, thank you, guys. I'm sorry. For Communication E, any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you, Stacy, for the backup. So now Communication H for Chief Joseph Perno in regard to the contract with Axon for police body cameras and equipment. I'd like to bring this out favorably. Thank you, Councilman Bruno. And I have a second. Thank you, Councilman Massaro. Any discussion? I know the chief is here with us. Hi, Chief Perno.
Good evening, Council.
Is there anything you'd like to share with us, or do you want to just go into questions?
It's your choice.
If you want to give us a little synopsis or share with us any information that you think is important, you can.
Thank you. First, let me say that this is not a contract. It's just the information from the vendor we have chosen regarding the body and fleet cameras. And as you can see, there is also a taser aspect to this. It's the same company, Axon and Taser. So we were able to get a very good price for all three of the pieces of equipment. I had a committee led by Lieutenant Joe Romano, who was here, with Sergeant Craig Thompson and Officer Matt Masick. They visited numerous departments in the state. We had two examples from vendors, two demonstrations, and ultimately we chose this product because of its ability to integrate with our dispatch system, our computer-aided dispatch system. And that is one of a key element in the evidence as well as the retention of the video. Am I still there? Somebody's got to say something because.
Sorry,
our phone-
my computer was timing out and I had to X
When
out of
there's
it.
a pause when there's a pause in any kind of conversation, we all look around and say, "Oh boy, our phone just died."
No, that was me. Is there, does anyone have any questions for the chief or his team? Councilman Cohen?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hello, Chief Perno and team. Thank you so much for coming this evening. I just want to say to you, when I looked at this, you guys are some tough negotiators getting $219,900 discount there. So I want to congratulate you on that. That was one big hunk. And when I read this proposal, the amount of value that you're getting on this in terms of, you know, all pieces of what you just described and the cloud and storage, I just think it's fantastic. And it really falls right into line with our plan and our projections in terms of there. And I just want to thank you for all the hard work and research. And I just think it's fantastic. Thank you, sir.
Well, if you read a little further, the total discounts equal about $265,000 because we're going to get another close to $45,000 with the taser purchase.
Yep. Exceptional.
Any additional questions for Chief Perno? Chairman?
I don't have a question for the chief. I have a question for Frank when it comes that time.
Okay, any questions for Chief Perno at this time? Go ahead, Chairman. We can ask Frank.
Yeah, Frank, well, first off, I could say to the chief and the team, I mean, you know, well done. It's a thorough packet. It's something that you know, is going to benefit the department for officer safety, benefit the community. And in a time right now where these are difficult to get, again, I think they got a very good rate. So Frank, my question is that as far as funding sources go, so I know that FY22, no, I think it's FY22 or 23. I think it's next year. We have in the budget for bonding for the total figure when we were under the assumption that maybe we were going to buy this, and now it's a lease subscription type of appears to be some contract as far as leasing it for multiple years. So what would the funding source be for this?
The funds would come partially from the state. So Lieutenant Romano has been in contact with the state of Connecticut with their grants department, and he has confirmed that they will pay up to 50% of the first year. Following that, there are funds available, I believe, in the capital non-recurring for programs that Chief Perno has open. For example, license plate readers that he'll no longer need to purchase because that's also part of this, the dash cams. So they all have automated license plate readers as well. So for year one, I would say that practically all of it is covered by monies coming from other sources, either from the state or from capital non-recurring, where we have already applied the mill rate to accumulate those funds.
Yeah, and that's I think that was really my question. So if we could pay as we go, right, and we have funds available and we don't have to bond $1.1 million, I think that's huge, right? So
it is, and I'll say this is that I was very pleasantly shocked when I sat in on several of the meetings, and the without even being asked, the chief offered up the monies that he already had set aside for the plate readers. So well done, chief. I didn't have to browbeat you for that.
Yeah, no, that's, again, thank you. If we could, anytime we could, pay as we go as opposed to bonding is a good thing. And again, chief, thank you, for allocating some funds and for your team putting a very thorough proposal together. That's all I have, Councilwoman Hosky. Thank you.
Any other questions for Chief or Councilman Massaro?
Chief Perno, good job, you and your committee. My question is this: when it comes to the IT, is the company going to do the IT part of it to make it compatible to your CAD system, or we have to hire somebody on the outside?
No, is it going to be a collaborative effort between my my officers here that are assigned to my Do It division, as well as technicians from Axon?
Oh, good, very good, excellent job. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I'd like to just make one more comment.
Absolutely, Chief.
As far as the $45,000 for the license plate readers, that was a no-brainer. We're giving up 2 and getting 30 with the cruiser cameras. And I'd also publicly like to thank Councilman Bruno for his effort into this project, as well as Frank Saplinski, the finance director. Their involvement was instrumental in getting this project to where it is right now.
Thank you, Chief. I just want to add on to what Chairman Quagliani said, that I'm all about not kicking the can down the road and indebting our grandchildren, Chief. So I do appreciate the fact that we are paying it as we go. It's just a testament to the changing tide in the city and how we are being more financially, we're just being smarter. So I really do appreciate that. I appreciate your team and everybody that worked to get this done. I'm not sure if you hear it enough, but are appreciated, and thank you for joining us this evening. I'm thinking, actually, Mayor Rossi wanted to say something. So one more moment, Chief, before you can drop off.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I am absolutely thrilled that we are doing this initiative with the body cameras. When I sat on the city council, unfortunately, then there wasn't any money. And when I first got into office in 2017, there wasn't any money. I think this is so important. I absolutely do. You can't, dispute, to me, you can't, the story being recorded. I think it's just so important. So I thank the chief and his team for everything he's done to facilitate this. And I mean, we're ahead of where, in other words, we're not waiting for the last minute. So I appreciate that you were able to get this together and get your team together. And thank you to Councilman Bruno and also Frank Saplinski for your help with this. Again, it's greatly appreciated about me, and I don't want to speak for the council members, so I'll speak for myself. And obviously, I believe the residents of West Haven. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I think this is very, very important. I think it's long overdue, and I'm very happy that we finally have funding that we're able to complete this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Rossi. So with that, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. And then I have one more communication, is communication F from 6/14/21 agenda from CDA Manager Mark Basakia in regards to the Community Development Block Grant PY 47 budget. I'd like to bring this out favorably. Thank you, Councilman Cohen, and can I have a second? Thank you, Councilwoman Hamilton and Bruno. Is there any discussion? I do have a question. Mark, are you there?
I am, Chairwoman. Thank you.
Hi, thanks. So I do have a question. Hold on. looking for so the total grant that you have is about 730, about 700, well, $760,000. Correct?
767,678.
Okay. And the administrative costs are $163,000, give or take.
Correct. That's the general admin.
Okay. Is that not like that? I guess I'm just wondering that, are we just positive that we're in complete compliance with all the government rules and regulations? Because when you go to that, that just seems like it's a lot of money, like the percentage compared to what we get. Like we only get 760,000, and it's almost 200,000 of that is going towards not what the grant you would.
The general administration budget, we're limited by the federal government to be 20% of the overall budget, plus any program income that we take in. So if you take 20% of 767,678, plus we take in $100,000 in program income, that's approximately around the 163,000 that we budget for general administration. Remember, we are now taking it into account. Okay, we sat down with Mayor Rossi when she took office, and we are now funding not only the salaries as per the union contracts, but all the benefits associated with it, plus the city portion of FICA and Medicare. So the general administration line item is not the only line item that we take our salaries out of and our benefits. We are also allowed by HUD to take our salaries and benefits out of the flagship programs that we provide here through the office. That would be the single family rehab, the down payment. So our salaries and benefits are also taken out of those programs. So the total amount is really somewhere in the vicinity of $300,000.
So the rules and the regulations that you follow that govern this department and how you run it is based on the city or the federal government or HUD? Because the reason I'm asking is because I need to understand, because I attended one of your meetings and I was there and you guys were voting on stuff. And I know 2 members that the mayor had appointed were advised that they weren't eligible to vote. And I know that they were eligible to vote.
Yeah.
So I haven't asked a question yet.
Before the meeting even started, as to the question of, does this go by the regular way the city goes, or do we follow the citizen participation plan? You know, because you were at the meeting, that the people that the mayor appointed were entitled to interact on behalf of the committee once the meeting started. So we resolved that right away.
No, we didn't. I was there and they were told they couldn't vote and they didn't vote. And
They did vote. They did vote. It's in the minutes. They did vote.
Then we have is Lee Council, are you on this call?
Yes, Councilor Hockey.
Okay. So Mr. Basaki and I are having, I know emphatically, without a shadow of a doubt, that those 2 individuals did not vote. They were told they could not vote and they did not vote. And if there are minutes and if there is something stating they did, then we have a problem because those minutes are not accurate. And I am, yeah, you're gonna have to weigh in on this, Lee, right? Like, this is not, I'm not comfortable with this because I know they did not vote. I was not the only council person present that evening. And I know because those two individuals even told me so, that they were told they were not able to vote and they did not vote.
Okay, you want me, you
Oh,
want me to
yes,
speak?
somebody should speak.
Oh, so, I mean, you have the administrator for our CDA programs who's saying that they did vote and it was in the minutes. We have a city councilor who's being asked to vote on certain items concerning CDA programming, votes that they need. And it would appear to me that, I mean, I'm not gonna be able to give you, I wasn't at the meeting. So if
Do
I
we
were
want
to
to call them? We can ask them to join the meeting. I could probably get
Join
them on
this-
the phone right now. Like, this is unacceptable to me.
Well, you I guess you could, I mean, what you want is either confidence that the administrator's correct, or, before you do that, the question is, if they're gonna verify what you said, my question would be, what does that mean in terms of what you
That's
do
what
tonight?
right. What does that mean? What does
Well,
that
that's
mean?
I mean, if you're not comfortable on voting on it, I don't know what to say to you. If you're not comfortable on voting on it for that reason, then we'd have to go back to the CDA and ask them to fix it or see what resolution we're going to get from it. Because if they come and they support it, and then you're going to then vote in favor of everything, if they say that, no, Mark's correct, they did vote that way, then I guess they could be on the call. But for them to just verify that it didn't happen, that's why I'm asking the question as to what's the end result in that. And if the end result is a do-over, in effect, that he's got this item has to come back, then, you know, we should probably just come back. We should probably just question those folks, see what they're comfortable with, see if they understood it, and then maybe we have time to fix. If it is a problem, we can fix it. Or if it isn't a problem, we can report back and say, no, we discovered the error and here it is, and we were right all along. So, but the problem you have is it's what the council's comfortable with, not what necessarily. What I would say is, after I would investigate the situation, I wouldn't do it on the spot. So I would find out, how did the meeting go? Where are the minutes? Was it recorded? If it wasn't recorded, there are other witnesses. And then question these folks. Or if the CDA administrator feels more comfortable coming back, double checking things, I'm good with that too. So.
Well, what I would say is that, you know, it's very important that we get the budget moving. I was in contact with HUD about a week ago via email. The mayor was on those emails, and they are looking for us to get the budget in as soon as possible. The work does not end once you pass the budget. There are a number of items that we have to put together. We have to get from HUD. We have to have the mayor sign it. We have to get them back to HUD, and we have to get those documents back. So there is some time that we need to spend on that. I have absolutely no problem with going back to the individuals that were at the meeting and doing an investigation into, did they vote, did they not vote? Because I'm sure that will bear out with, you know, I'm sorry, there's some miscommunication about it, but they definitely participated in the meeting, and they definitely were allowed to vote. And I'm sure Councilwoman O'Connor will verify that.
Well, I mean, I appreciate you name dropping Councilwoman O'Connor, but I can name drop Councilwoman Hamilton, who could probably, but that being, it doesn't, Chairman, 1 second, please. So I just need to understand if you're following the rules and regulations set forth before you by HUD. And does HUD require you to say at your meetings what you voted for? So everybody's listed. Colleen O'Connor is listed as she voted for this. Yes. You're listed, it says yes. And when I look at your minutes, it doesn't say that. So Lee, if we move forward with this and we approve it, then what? Or to find out that people, that didn't happen, then what? Like, can we move forward and approve his budget and it be fine? If then you do your investigation to find out that they did not follow the rules and regulations, that's what I need to understand.
Well, no, I mean, you can always move forward with his budget. Whether or not the regulation, look, even if there was HUD compliance, if there are people who show up for a meeting of this nature, they're appointed by there, you want to make sure if whether they understood they had the right to vote, whether they voted, whether they understood the tenor and tone of the meeting. And if there are ways to improve the transparency and organization sort of statistical analysis afterwards of every meeting, we can always look to, make those improvements. That goes for anybody. I mean, that goes for any meeting and anybody working that would even go, if the city council can improve their process. So you could approve it and continue to move forward. You guys meet again at the end of July, short of a special meeting, and I think that would be plenty of time to have any level of investigation. In fact, I think that's probably plenty of time to have information given to the counselors by, in advance by agenda day so that you can have time to be comfortable with it.
Does anyone on the Finance Committee have any questions before I let Chairman Quagliani, Councilman Hamilton?
I just have kind of a side question. I'm gonna let the investigation speak for itself, so I'm not gonna go there. Lee, I have a question that could affect one of the line items here. Can you give us the status on the FYI building?
Yes. So people, many times in the course of a week, people either phone or come into my office about different proposals for different things. And what I try to do is only take seriously those that are in writing, and I would only bring something to the city council that's in writing. So whether or not there's, we'll just call it stuff or information that comes to me concerning the FYI building that is not in writing, I'm not going to go into right now because I don't think it's relevant. It's certainly a building that's been in that condition and abandoned that long. I don't think it's really relevant. I have, there is a nonprofit organization that would like to do programming out of that building, whose attorney I've been in contact with. They have had some challenges. It's go forward, go back, but I wouldn't be comfortable saying that they've abandoned their project because that is not what's been indicated to me by the attorney. Although at a later date, if that happens, if they found a better location or, a different proposal comes up for that building that the council thinks is more attractive, then we can revisit that and we can then ask HUD to repurpose those funds for other programming needs. So I don't think it's a problem at this moment, but I think it's a question. I would invite you to re-ask that question, Councilor Hamilton, at next month's council meeting, and maybe we'll have something more solidified one way or the other.
Councilwoman Hamilton, if I could just add to what Lee was saying, this plan is sort of like the 5-year plan. It's a plan, and we can adjust it however we need to adjust it. If in fact that something like that does happen, Lee is correct. We can always repurpose those funds.
Thank you. one of the reasons was because there was a crazy rumor going on, or maybe it wasn't a rumor, about it, that building being sold. I wanted to clarify that.
Oh, I mean, if you're directing that to me, by state law, nothing can be sold that city has title to, other than you have to be able to have the flexibility to sell things during a foreclosure. And if a property has a value of less than $7,500, it can be sold without council approval. But other than that, any land sale would require council approval. And in that particular building, if the sale was going to be even for $1 for a nonprofit, I would bring it before the council. I wouldn't do that without the council's review and oversight, even if legally I could.
That's reassuring. Thank you both.
Chairman Quagliani, oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Cohen. Oh, Chairman Quagliani, go ahead.
No, let the finance committee, I'll defer to them. Thank you, and then I will.
Councilman Cohen, did you have something?
Yeah, I did. I did.
Okay.
I didn't want to jump the line. I was trying to be polite.
I
Sorry.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, to the point you made, Madam Chair, I'll just let the investigation lead where it leads. But I did have a couple of questions for Mark regarding some of the programs that were approved. First of all, I have to say on all of these programs, to the point you made, Mark, there is some modularity about them that, things can change. But as I look at all the programs, it was like 14 or 15 programs, if I recall here. And when I read through them all, you guys did try to do as much as you could proportionately for all the programs that were listed here in terms of not the capital improvements, but the social service agency programs. And my question to you, Mark, and it's really more of a curiosity, under the West Haven Child Development, they had requested $40,000 for a position that is going to be $50,000 for a parent engagement coordinator. And they were granted only $6,700. So, and I was surprised because proportionally you try to give higher proportions for other things. So my question is to grant something, I'm glad something was granted, but they're going to have to find funds otherwise to have this engagement coordinator. It's not like they were covered like 80% of the cost. Like some of these, you were able to cover 50, 60, 80% of the cost. So was there some reasoning how you got the 6,700, I guess is my question?
Yeah, let me first say that you are correct. These are all very valuable programs. They are vital services to the community. And the committee works very hard at evaluating all the proposals and interviewing all the applicants with regard to their funding. Each agency is responsible for preparing its own grant application. Some agencies stay in line with their requests. Other agencies try to shoot for the moon. We are limited for social service agencies to 15% of the overall budget.
Okay.
So we have to make the overall bottom line amount come within that 15% of the overall budget.
Okay, that makes sense. And I had one more question, Mark, if I may, Madam Chair, one more question. As I was looking over the paperwork under capital improvements for the Board of Education, the Savin Rock Playground at Kerrigan, maybe I'm not looking correctly, so I apologize if I'm making a mistake here. But the requested amount that's on what we were given was $200,000, yet the application shows $105,460. So was there an original application which was reduced, or I don't seem to find $200,000 on their application?
Yeah, no, there wasn't, and and you can just take the Kerrigan part out because that's a typo there. It should have probably been deleted with the Kerrigan part. Originally, they wanted to try to remodel part of an old woodworking shop and put some flooring in there, but they thought it that was not the priority. They re-looked at it and they said to do the asbestos was the priority, and you guys approved that the last meeting.
Oh,
So,
okay. Okay, yeah, because I thought there was like a $95,000 discrepancy,
Yep.
and I wasn't sure I was looking at the right application. That was all.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have a question, Mark. So are these on this list for the budget? And I just want it to be on the record again, in case I might have asked it before. Everybody that is on here are all the applicants that requested money and received it, correct? Like there's no outliers that aren't listed?
correct.
Okay. So correct me if I'm wrong. There's actually no new people. There's not a program or an entity that's different from what was listed last year.
No, you're correct.
Okay, and what about the year before?
Fish is relatively new. They came in about 3 years ago, but once again, I mean, it's awful tough to fit in another social service agency when you look at the list here, because you're going to have to look at it and the committee's going to have to decide who are we going, I mean, anybody can apply, but when they're evaluating the organizations, they're going to have to say, well, we've got to fit it into the 15% of the overall budget. So who are we going to take away money from in order to make that agency fit in?
I'm not sure that if you were to take the time and play this back to yourself tomorrow, that your response and what you just said is a tad alarming. You literally, and how I took it, and if anyone else took it differently, is like you're suggesting that nobody else in the community apply because you already got all your people that you want. Like that's literally.
No, I'm not
well,
suggesting, I'm not suggesting that at all. I'm not, I just,
okay. So
Chairwoman, I said it's open to everybody in the community.
But then you just said that if you were to add into your 15%, who would you'd have, your committee would have to decide.
Correct. It is a very hard decision. And if there is a deserving entity that was going to apply for the grant, okay, the committee would have to evaluate that and take a good hard look at it. And that applicant will be competitive with all the other applicants. It's a competitive process, and they'll look at it. And if it's something that's a vital community service, they would receive it with open arms and say, yes, of course, we're going to have to fit these in. This is a great service.
So I am just concerned that year after year, I know that these, and let me just say this for the record, they're all very deserving, as are a host of other, people who may in the future apply. I'm just concerned that we have not seen one new entity that I'm not sure, coming out of COVID and coming out of what we just all endured, that there aren't going to be a host of other programs that might benefit from this money. So I'm just curious and saying that, we may need to advertise a little bit differently. We may need to be doing other things to let programs know that this money is out there. And yes, it is a competitive situation. People are going to be going up against these other programs, but they need to be aware of this program. And I don't know if Lee is still on the phone or who can help us, but I've been told that there is other money in HUD that we'd be eligible to receive or go after that we're not applying to. So I just want to challenge you, your committee, the city of West Haven, the grants writer, and whomever else needs to be shook and woken up and saying that $760,000 isn't going to cut it, that we need to be actively, I guess I'm just curious, how often do we go after more money? Do we take 2 hours out of our 35-hour work week to see if there's more programs, more funding out there? Like, how often are we researching this? And I don't know who can answer that, but I know that somebody needs to answer it. Somebody needs to be doing it. And maybe it goes under the general administration of $163,000 we're paying people out of this fund to go get more money. So that when we do better advertising and when we do open it up to other programs, there'd be more money to give them. Does anyone else have any questions? Because I am just beside myself right now. Mayor Rossi?
I don't have a question, but I do have a couple comments on what Mr. Bisaccia had talked about earlier. And that was, so everybody is aware, there's a part of our charter that actually addresses CDA. And prior to my administration getting into office, what that part says is that salaries, benefits should not be paid out of the general fund, which is what the charter means by that. And there is a section, and you all can read it, regarding CDA. So before I got into office, there was part salaries and FICA and benefits being taken out of the general fund for their payroll and all of that. When I got in, we did address this. Lee Tiernan and I had quite a few conversations about it as well. And so we did fix it. And what I mean by fix it is now there were no dollars, and that's what Mark reported out. So I do want everyone to know that no dollars coming out of our general fund. And it shouldn't be. It's not supposed to be on the taxpayers of the city of West Haven. So that has been corrected. And the other thing I would like to suggest to Chairwoman Hosky is that I believe there should be an investigation, because I know that I pulled some stuff too. Minutes were filed very late. And so they're supposed to follow FOI just like everybody else. So I think it's important that they are timely filed. But I think if you're doing an investigation, I think it should be an outside person, whether it be somebody from Attorney Tiernan's office or something like that. That's my own opinion. All of you are in charge of this, not me. But I just think that, it should be somebody objective that wasn't at the meeting, that asked the people, asked the questions and interviews each and every person that was there separately. That's my own suggestion. You don't have to list or whatever, but I just think it's important because we do want that committee to work and assist us, because they are supposed to have direct input into interviewing everyone as a whole when people propose different things. And I do agree with Chairwoman Hosky that maybe we put an ad in the Voice, maybe we put some ads or something, but I do believe that we should try to secure more funding, but also try to secure more charitable organizations out there that may very well not know about this program and may very well benefit from it. So thank you very much for your time, everyone.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments? Okay, so all those in favor of passing this? Any opposed? Any abstent? Pete Massaro, you're opposed too, Councilman Cohen? Okay, all right, so any abstentions? So Councilman Cohen, you voted twice, so you're not voting, you're abstaining from the vote, correct?
I need to abstain because of the West Haven.
Okay, so there's three. Stacy, that's 3 votes yes, 1 vote no, and 1 abstention. Okay. And the time is now 8:14, and your committee, your finance committee has now closed.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hosky. Next committee is the Public Lands Committee, Councilman Donovan.
Thank you, Chairman. The time is now 8:14. The Committee on Public Lands is in session. Excuse me, members present, Councilman Galignano, Councilwoman Finelli, Councilwoman O'Connor, and myself acting as chair. We have before us Communication B from Doug Coulter in regards to merging 28 College Street and 22 College Street. I'd like to bring this out favorably. Can I get a motion? Can't see everybody. Councilwoman Finelli, second. Councilwoman O'Connor, Councilman Mitch Galignano. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, I'll bring it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. Also, I have communication I from 6/14/21. We are holding that in committee. Committee on Public Lands now is closed at 8:16.
Thank you, Councilman Donovan. The next committee is the Health, Welfare, and Safety Committee, Councilman Bruno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Time is 8:16. The Committee on Health, Welfare, and Safety is now in session. The members present are Councilman Donovan, Cohen, McGee, Finelli. We have before us tonight Communication F. I'd like to entertain a motion to bring this out favorably. Can I get a motion? Thank you, Councilman Cohen. Can I have a second? I need a second. I don't see it, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councilwoman Finelli. Any discussion? Councilman Cohen. You're
Thank you,
muted. Yep, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is Doug on the line this evening? Doug Coulter?
Not certain.
Okay, then I will hold my, well, you know what? I'm going to ask the question, and if no one can answer it, I appreciate that. It was just really a quick question on this one, is that the due date was October 20th, 2020 for the year 20. So is this like, I mean, I understand everything else on it. It all makes sense and so forth, but I was curious, did we get an extended deadline, or this is like for the year prior for the last fiscal year? I was just a little confused in terms of, it seemed like in the past tense, and I know I must be incorrect somehow. I'm just trying to figure out, you know, the time frame. I understand that these are passed through grants and so forth, but I'm just wondering if this was an opportunity for us to get repaid for something or reimbursed for something. Again, it's not a showstopper, but because it's money, we're not, you know, it's just really a question. But if no one can answer it, then I don't have any questions. But
Chairman Bruno, I can answer that. So,
thank you.
Go ahead,
Rep.
DeMassa. Oh, go ahead.
Thank you. Doug Coulter has diligently been working on looking for opportunities that we perhaps may have missed in the absence of a grant writer. So he did identify this. He reached out to Demas. They've advised him that he can send the paperwork to apply for programs we've done that would fall into reimbursement. So he's doing that. And I believe this is maybe the second or third one sent to the council. So certainly he's done an excellent job trying to pick up our previous grants writer.
So just Mike, you were kind of chopped, but if I could summarize that, I think what you're saying is that although the grant has expired, Doug has reached out to the grantor and said that there's still an opportunity to apply. There must be more money. So that's why these two communications are in front of us. Is that correct?
Okay, so, Councilman Cohen, you're good?
Yeah, I'm good. So that's great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Massa. We appreciate your help on it. With that being said, all in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Committee on Name Committee is closed this time. Mr. Chairman, I'm going to go on to G. Is that okay? I'll read that one next.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have, time is now 8:20. Committee on Health, Welfare, and Safety. Members present, Donovan, Cohen, McGee, Finelli. We have us before us tonight, Communication G. The chair will entertain a motion and bring this out favorably. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Finelli, Cohen. Thank you very much. Can I get a second? Donovan, thank you very much, Councilman Donovan. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? The Committee on Health, Safety, and Welfare, Mr. Chairman, is closed at 8:21.
Thank you, Councilman Bruno. Unfinished business, we have none. The council will now convene as a whole for the committees to report out. First item is if the clerk could read Communication C into the record.
We have Communication C from the tax collector in regards to overpayment refunds for the month of June 2020, which will be filed with tonight's minutes.
Thank you, Stacy. First committee to report out is the Finance Committee, Councilwoman Hosky.
Thank you, Chairman. To the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven, your Committee on Finance, to whom was referred the matter of the City of West Haven's 5-year financial plan, reports that the committee met on the 28th day of June 2020 to consider said matter. It is the unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. Resolved, the City Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves the 5-year financial plan submitted to the council on June 28th, 2021.
Councilwoman Hosky brought forward Communication A from Mayor Nancy R. Rossi in regards to the City of West Haven's 5-year financial plan. Is there a second? Second, Councilman Galignano. Councilman Bruno, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Is there anyone opposed? Are there any abstentions? And that motion passes unanimously.
To the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven, your Committee on Finance, to whom was referred the matter of interdepartment transfer of funds, reports to the committee met on the 20th day of June 2020 to consider said matter. It is the unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. Resolved, the City Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves the following interdepartment line item transfers. Line item 1410010510000 wages decreased by $60,000. Line item 1470607752570 other repairs increase of $60,000.
Councilwoman Hosky has brought forward Communication D from Commissioner McCarthy in regards to interdepartment transfer of funds as was read into the record. Is there a second? Second, Councilman Massaro. Councilwoman Finelli. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Is there anyone opposed? Are there any abstentions? Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously.
To the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven, your Committee on Finance, to whom was referred the matter of the animal shelter donation. Reports to the committee met on the 28th day of June 2021 to consider said matter. It is the unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. That the following resolved, that the following donation to the Department of Police Services be approved and deposited into line item 1010000028285, animal shelter donations, Angela Russo for the amount of $100, Edward Chase, $100, Nancy Yale Dendis, $25, Jacqueline Goldman, $20, Richard Estra, $10, Joyce Snyder, $25, Gail Salmon, $50, Walter Gregory, $300, Laura Lee Rivera, $100, Kenneth Krug, $100, Melissa Garthwaite, $50, Launch Communications LLC, $500, Barry Cohen, $90, Solis Garage LLC, $50, Star 500, Apple Oil Company Incorporated, $500, and Lois Kennedy, $50.
Councilwoman Hoskins brought forward communication E from Chief of Police Joseph Perno in regards to animal shelter donations. Is there a second? Second, Councilman Cohen, Councilwoman Johnston. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Is there anybody opposed? Are there any abstentions? And that motion passes unanimously.
To the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven, your Committee on Finance, to whom was referred the matter of a contract with Axon for police body cameras and equipment. Reports to the committee met on the 28th day of June 2021 to consider said matter. It is the unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. Resolved. The City Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves a contract between the City of West Haven and Axon for the police equipment listed on the proposal from Axon submitted to the City Council on June 28, 2021. The City Council authorizes the city attorney to make any technical changes necessary and duly authorizes the mayor to
sign said agreement. Councilwoman Hoskins brought forward communication H from Chief Joseph Perno in regards to a contract with Axon for police body cameras and equipment. Is there a second? Second, Councilman Finelli, Hamilton, Councilman Bruno, Cohen. Is there any discussion? Councilwoman Johnston.
Just for clarity's sake, I thought Chief Perno said it wasn't a contract. Didn't he say that?
I believe we're giving the authority to the city to enter into a contract.
Got it, but that document itself was not the contract.
That's correct. This is
Okay.
a purchase agreement. Because of the lead time, we need to get into their system. So this is just confirmation to them that we do want the equipment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Johnson. Councilwoman Hamilton.
I just want to take the opportunity to echo what was said previously, that I'm glad that we're going forward with this. We're going in the right direction. I think that body cameras increase like public confidence in the law enforcement, and well done for all those that were involved in this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hamilton. Councilman Donovan.
Yeah, mine's more of a comment. Chief Perno, your team, Frank Sableski, and Councilman Robert Bruno, I commend you on the work that you guys all did. It's a great effort, and we're getting the best bang for our buck out of that. So that's a great job there. I just want to compliment everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Donovan. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Is there anyone opposed? Are there any abstentions? And that motion passes unanimously.
To the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven, your Committee on Finance, to whom was referred the matter of the Community Development Block Grant PY 47 budget, reports that the committee met on the 28th day of June 2020 to consider said matter. It is the majority opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. Resolved, the City Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves the attached Community Development Block Grant PY 47 budget submitted to the City Council on June 14, 2021.
Councilwoman Hosky has brought forward communication F from the 6/14/21 agenda from CDA Manager Mark Basaki in regards to the Community Development Block Grant PY 47 budget. Is there a second? Second, Councilman Galignano, Councilwoman Hamilton, Councilman Bruno. Is there any discussion? Councilwoman O'Connor.
I'm on the committee, so I have to abstain from voting. But I just wanted to publicly make a comment that in the budget process on the day when this actual budget took place, everyone had equal voting rights. We worked very hard for more than a couple of hours to make sure that we tried to give as much money as we possibly could to everyone. I just asked, just making this public, that during the meetings afterwards, everyone had a fair chance to give their comments, their questions, and vote on this how they saw fit. So I just wanted to make that public.
Thank you, Councilwoman O'Connor. Is there any other discussion? The only discussion I have, Corp Counsel, you still with us?
Yes, sir.
So, Lee, obviously you've heard the discussion this evening. While I think it's important, I don't want to speak for all the council, but it appears that we want to make sure that these entities, these deserving entities, get the money in the budget. But I'd ask you that, can your office do a review to make sure that all the practices that are done through the CDA and their advisory committee are in line with HUD and FOI guidelines going forward. So, I mean, I think this council's been pretty receptive to understanding that we don't want to impact programs and services, but yeah, we want to make sure it's done correctly. So I think before we entertain any other communications from the CDA, we'd like to get that looked into through your office and a report back to the council.
Yeah, I don't think that's a problem. And given the other comments that were made, I think what we'll also do is provide the council with a representative sampling of what they call NOFAs, which are Notice of Funding Opportunities that HUD puts out, so that we can see what's out there and give the council some sense of if there are other funding opportunities as well.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Is there anyone opposed? And I know I'm going to get a few hands. Are there any abstentions? So Councilwoman O'Connor abstains, Councilwoman Johnston abstains, Councilman Cohen abstains, and I, Councilman Quagliani, abstain. Stacy, do you have it 7 yeas?
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes by majority. All set, Councilwoman Hosky?
Yes, that is all that the Finance Committee has.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hosky. Next committee to report is the Public Lands Committee, Councilman Donovan.
Thank you, Chairman. To the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven, we have Communication B. Your Committee on Public Lands, to whom was referred the matter of merging 28 College Street and 22 College Street. Reports that the committee met on the 28th day of June 2021 to consider said matter. It is the unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be present. Resolved, the Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves the merger of the city parcels known as 22/28 College Street. The city attorney is hereby empowered to effectuate this merger and notify the city departments necessary for its recordings.
Councilman Donovan's brought forward Communication B from Doug Coulter in regards to merging 28 and 22 College Street. Is there a second? Second, Councilwoman Finelli, Councilman Hamilton, Councilman Massaro, Councilwoman O'Connor. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Is there anyone opposed? Are there any abstentions? And that motion passes unanimously.
Also, before I have Communication I from 6/14/21, it is being held in committee. And with that, Public Lands Committee is done. Communication is all set.
Thank you, Councilman Donovan. Next committee is the Health, Welfare, and Safety Committee, Councilman Bruno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Communication F before us to the Honorable City Council, City of West Haven, the Committee on Health, Welfare, Safety, to whom it was referred, the matter of an application for Homeland Security grant. Reports that the committee met on the 28th day of June 2021 to consider the said matter. It is the unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. Resolved, the City Council, the City of West Haven hereby approves and authorizes Mayor Nancy R. Rossi to apply for the executed all conditions and addendums for said grant funds.
Councilman Bruno's brought forward Communication F from Doug Coulter in regards to the application of Homeland Security grant funds. Is there a second? Second, Councilman Cohen, Councilwoman McGee. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Is there anyone opposed? Are there any abstentions? And that motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Communication G in front of us to the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven, the Committee on Health, Welfare, Safety, to whom it was referred the matter of an application for Homeland Security grant. Reports that the committee met on the 28th day of June 2021 to consider the said matter. It is the unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. Resolved, City Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves and authorizes Mayor Nancy R. Rossi to apply for the and execute all conditions and addendums for the said grant funds.
Councilman Bruno's brought forward Communication G from Doug Coulter in regards to the submission of a Homeland Security grant application. Is there a second? Second, Councilman Cohen, Councilman Galignano, Councilwoman Hamilton. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Is there anyone opposed? Councilwoman Hosky, are you opposed?
I didn't realize, I must be delayed. I apologize. I was voting for it.
Okay, yeah, you do have a little delay tonight. Okay, thank you. Is there any abstentions? Okay, and that motion passes unanimously.
That's all I have tonight, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Bruno. Adoption of ordinances previously presented. We have none before us this evening. Council liaison reports. Do we have any council liaison reports? Seeing no hands at this time. Is there any new business? Councilwoman Johnston.
It's not really new business, but I just wanted to thank everybody on the council and in the neighborhoods and in the Pitch In West Haven program that's happening, like all people that are trying to do so much to deal with litter. I just really appreciate it. And I wish that more people had the self-respect and respect for their town to not throw things on the ground. But I want to thank everybody that's been trying so hard to clean up with all these initiatives. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Johnston. Councilwoman O'Connor.
I just wanted to publicly ask if, as chairman of the redevelopment, if we could get the Swarma group to come in and give us an update on what's going on with the conference center. And I would also like to get the developers in from the Havens. Now that we have this special tax zone for them, I'd like to know what their plans are, you know, what they're going to do. So I just wanted to make the formal ask.
Thank you, Councilwoman O'Connor. Stacy, if we could write to Corp Council and ask if we could get an update for our next meeting for the conference center and the Havens property. Any other new business? Councilwoman Hamilton.
I just want to put a quick thank you for helping West Haven be very successful in their first annual Juneteenth event. A lot of faces came out there. And if you missed it, you can go on YouTube on the city website to relive it or see it for the first time. And for those that we didn't see, we hope to see you out there next year. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hamilton. Councilman Bruno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to mention a couple things with the upcoming weekend upon us with the 4th of July. I'd like to just ask everybody to be aware of your surroundings, be conscious of other people with the lighting off of fireworks and whatnot that are not legal, and to please be careful. And I just wanted to mention that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman Bruno. Councilman Cohen.
Just a quick thanks to those that came out this past weekend for the Oyster River Beach cleanup, and it was a double header. We also had a cleanup by some of the Hubbard Family Foundation at Hubbard Park. So to earlier points that were made, just thanks everyone for all your volunteerism and your love of West Haven. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilman Cohen. Is there any other new business? Seeing none, I will take, Frank, do you have new business?
Yes, I don't know if Michael had contacted you or not. Even though CLA, our auditors, have a 3-year contract, according to charter, the council still needs to appoint the auditor for the year. I don't know if it's appropriate for me to ask this now or if it needs to go into the next meeting.
Yeah, I mean, if you could, is there a time deadline? I mean, typically, if you could write that communication to Michael that we need to reappoint the auditor, and then we could have it appear on the next agenda.
Okay, I'll do that.
Any other new business? Seeing none, we'll take a motion to adjourn by Councilwoman Johnson, seconded by Councilwoman O'Connor, and we are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone, and we'll see you in a few weeks.